Hot
Hot caca. Hot caca. Hot caca.
caca. Hot caca. Steaming poop.
Have we? Do you feel like you're losing your hearing? Is that?
Yeah, very often.
Even thought about it? Ever thought about it? Oh, you do? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Mostly in conversational stuff. I'm now I'm an anxious person, so like of course I assume the worst. And
Tummy hurts. I'm going deaf.
right, like it's more of I don't know if the situation is reasonable that I can't hear it. All right, so you like The Office. Without trying to get too into it, the character Nate, one of the greatest characters that show ever had, is he goes like, I'm not hard of hearing, but I can't hear multiple sounds at once. Like it's that. So if like the radio is playing, Caitlin will say something to me in the other room, and I'm like, I got fucking nothing out of that. And I'm like, you gotta be, first off, if I'm in a room where TV or podcast or radio is playing, you can't talk to me from another room. It doesn't work. I can't process anything. I know you're talking, I can hear voice inflection, but it just is all garbled nonsense. And so I have to like leave the room. So I try to be mindful of that if I'm talking to anyone else, because I don't know if it's just a Jeff thing. So if I know someone's like watching TV in another room, I don't try to talk to them unless I'm in that room. Another one is like, if you're in the same room, don't turn around at something else and start talking. Like at least have the sounds going at me so that I have a chance, because I hate asking people to repeat themselves. So I also am very likely to just smile and nod just to get through it, even though I have zero idea what just happened. So those are the essence of where I feel like hearing problems come up. Or when I go to a live show and continue to not bring earplugs, and then when I leave the show, I'm like, I notice there's a difference right now, and that's probably not a good thing. Now it dissipates, but when we went to that last live show, the Streetlight show, I definitely was leaving, and Caitlin's like, does hearing sound weird right now? I'm like, it very much does. And I always mean to bring earplugs to a show because I don't know why instinctively I'm like, it'll ruin the experience. It won't, I'm assuming. So I really do want to start bringing earplugs to live shows. That's like the biggest step I want to take.
Yeah, I think, you remember the story from, well, my sister and I went to Disturb last year. I was definitely like the only person in the first 5 rows wearing earplugs, which was like, I don't know how you guys, like, I'm okay. And then at the Band of Horses show, I had mentioned that I gave the kid in front of me the earplugs I bought. I didn't end up needing them. It wasn't too loud, but maybe it was, and I just didn't know it at that time. So,
Right.
And now, I'm definitely concert-wise, I think I'm always going to at least bring a pair. I notice the hearing loss. It's a lot of work stuff, too, where I think somebody's calling or saying something. It's like, oh, I think I heard my name, or I didn't, or I look around. It's like, oh, no, I was calling for you. Yeah, I said Matt. And I was like, well, a lot of things sound like number one, all the time. So I'm always perpetually, like, looking around for anything like it's It's a weird Pavlovian thing, and that sound is unfortunate because it's so common. But then I find myself sometimes often I mumble all the time, but it's like I don't think I can. My inner hearing is like great, so I think I don't want to like talk too loudly. So I'm like, and they're like, I can't hear you, and they're like, oh, because I can't hear me either. I guess that's part of it, and my phone tells me all the time when I'm at the gym, hey, this is too loud for how much you've listened this week. And I'm like, get away. Get away from me, notification.
Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
That's a later problem that I'll have to deal with. And even now, like, I've noticed, like turning up volumes on things that are, like, way too high. And I'm like, because in my mind is, like, hearing loss is so, like, you'll notice immediately something happened. Then you'll be like, okay, I'll chill. But instead, it's slowly happening over time. And
It is the slowest of slow burns in our life. Like, it is. It really is. It's such a slow burn that all of a sudden we're going to be 55 and be like, I can't hear a fucking thing. Like, that's not good. Yeah, so it's tough because I think, right, part of it is like, I don't know if it's a hearing thing or just a processing thing. So like that's the weird part too, is it's not like eyesight. You know, I think you would know, you could tell like your eyes are going bad because you can't see it, but like your the hearing thing is like, do I have a hard time like focusing on people? Does that disguise itself as a hearing right? Is it a hearing problem or is it a listening problem? So I think that's an issue too. But it's funny you mentioned the thing with your name because, yeah, having a one-syllable name makes it hard because I think you hear your name more often when you go by a one-syllable name. So the short A sound, I'm sure, really stands out. So that you have a plethora of words. For me, it's not the vowel sound, but it's the J is what captures my ears. The J is, I'm like, if it's one syllable and it's a J or a CH or even like a single syllable of like a DR sound, maybe even not TR as much, but like ch, j, dr, like all of that stuff. If I hear that faintly, I'm like, did someone say my name? But tying it together, none better than what this just triggered, which is, of course, senior year calculus. And our poor friend Adam being in a class with Mr. Choi, who would constantly in a class say, add them, but with his accent and just his speech in general, it's just like, and then you add them. And then I'm sitting right behind our friend Adam, and he would keep looking up, thinking he was being called on. Or like caught in the middle of something. Adam. Oh,
that's good.
Quality.
Let's go.
Hey, you started the theme correctly.
Isn't it supposed to come to me? Yes, this is how it's meant to be. Every little thing flashing on a screen.
Speaking of volumes, you're coming in very hot today. Usually louder than normal.
So are you. You are you. You are as well, I mean. Like it's almost getting...
That's not, it's neither of our faults.
It's getting like the reverb. I wonder if I could... Does this help any? Is this lower? Is this improving?
It's all right. It's fine.
Okay, I don't know. But yeah, it's weird because you are too.
Podcast for old guys.
Right. Good news, folks. We're going to be broadcasting this 20 decibels louder than what we're used to because we just can't hear anything. Yeah.
I can't wait till we retitle this podcast, the Can You Hear Us podcast, which is definitely an old guy joke that we will make when we're like 65 and 70. And the other guys our age will like it. Nobody likes it now, but we will then because we'll just think, oh, that's funny. It's like about all the Instagram reels now about being 40 is like, just like, oh, you're a little more tired or you don't want to go out after 8 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, this is getting a little old. It's just like, just all the hacky, like lowest common denominator reels.
Oh, that's,
just show up. It's like, you're right, I don't want to go after 8, but I don't want to throw it in my face. Where's a joke about that? It's not so funny.
Right. Yeah, it's gross how many things are just rehashed, like reels that are just literally like verbatim. I want to honestly try doing that. I want to just make a plagiarism reel where I do exactly what I see in other reels just to see if I can get a ton of exposure that way. And just like, and even title it, be like, shit you've already seen. And every caption is like, did you guys ever see this one? And it's just me copying a reel. That's the caption to every fucking reel. And just, and just seeing if I can get popular.
Already? Yeah.
Like this one where people like, it's the split screens where they show you a reel and then that person's reaction to it. And it's nothing, the reel's not good. The reaction's not good. And you're like, how does this have 97,000 likes? What the fuck happened?
You gotta wheeze. You gotta wheeze while you laugh and pretend you couldn't ever. I couldn't ever. Oh my god, I couldn't ever. Like one of those laughs.
Everything well, that was like I had this theory. And I don't even know. 100+ episodes in, I don't know if I've ever mentioned something before, but like the people with the weirdest laughs are always the people who find the most stuff funny, and I'm like, what's happening here? Like, but yeah, like wheezing laughs. I'm like, I love humor and I love the weirdest types of humor and stuff, but I'm like, I've never felt like I've laughed at like just seeing a reel. I've never audibly laughed like so much like some people claim to be laughing. And it's weird because I love humor in everything. I love comedy. But does that like side-splitting laughter, like you ever go to like stand-up shows and people are like losing their fucking minds in the audience, and I'm like, I like what you like, but I don't see like a physical reaction to that extent. What's your take on that, Mateo?
Oh, good question. I have laughed. I've definitely laughed at reels like pretty hard before, but it's weird because when you're alone, I mean, I guess it's a shared experience thing. That's why we send them. You know, I think when we send shit, that's us laughing in public now. It's like, this is, if I'm audibly laughing, this is me. This is my, like, version of that. And sometimes it is. It's testy. You know what? I know. We got a couple group chats now going with different groups. And I'm like, this isn't for this group, it's for this group. Or I'm like, this isn't for either group. But I got to let them know that this tickles my belly. Like, I like this. You know, it's weird as fuck or whatever. But.
It's right. It's tough. It's tough because you have to know which group you're sending it to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
we're still doing the dance, I feel like, especially with our crew that's going to assemble, our Avengers crew for whatever. So when this comes out, I guess we're a week and a half away from 10 days away from a little get together. Mm-hmm. So each time I hang out with you and your group, I add +1 friend. It's like a Bellotro game where I get +1. Like I get one more.
Oh, perfect! I'm playing the
show's ruining our lives, all of our lives.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm playing the Philadelphia Joker. +1 friend every round. Okay, cool.
So this is good because it on the heels of Brett's appearance last week, talking about friend groups. So when we meet up in Philly next week, it'll be Bob, who I've already driven in a long car ride with, and we visited his house for a pre-NFL deal. Steven, super producer Steve, who I will be riding with on the way there. And then, you and your abode with Caitlin and the cats, which I have a plan for. This time. We'll get to that. And then JB.
Jay Boyko.
It'll be our first hang.
Yeah.
So it's who knows how it goes. He wants to hug me real bad, apparently. That's what he said in the text messages. Can't wait to hug me. To hug me, which really threw off the vibe of the chat.
It doesn't though, but that's, as you can tell, like you probably felt like, well, that's probably a weird thing to say, but when it doesn't faze anyone else in the group, and you're like, oh, it's not. Oh, okay, it's not.
That was it. I like it. I like the weird. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Everything's. I'm curious what your theory is for the cats. I'm curious to hear that. You can't really leave that too much of a cliffhanger. Did you want to share what that is, or is that more of a debrief situation?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think we can fork in the road this into a conversation about gift card spending, and I will. I'm leading in to say, have you blah 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 spent gift cards and got anything good yet? Because this year I've really, like, the gift cards I got for Christmas this year, I've really focused on things that I needed. Because sometimes I think I just buy something in the moment or just go with a feel. But this year I really feel like I kind of knew what I needed in my life in different aspects. And the Target gift card that I got, let's say, like, I think so. Now I work right by a Target. So on like the 27th or something, I went to Target because I had to buy an hour and a half before I went to another Christmas party. And it was like a war zone. It was terrible. Clothes were on the floor. Shelves were empty. I felt so bad for the workers because, like, by the fitting room, they have all the stuff they need to restock or like reshelf, and it looks like a warehouse of like clothes racks and everything. I was like, this sucks for you guys. So I was like, I don't want to buy clothes right now. I'm not in the mood for walking through this. And I happened to walk by the home goods section, and I saw an air filter / humidifier that I was like, you know what? I have a small little humidifier in my world next to my bed to help with the sinuses. But I've been thinking about getting a filter, and this one's a combo. So I was like, note to self, this is something I've been needing, and it comes up in my brain a lot, and I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I was like, I could actually use my gift card on something functional that I would need in my life that I always think about, and I don't pull the trigger on. It's like, that's a weird concept, because I should buy this hoodie that's a little too big, or these pants that are a little too small that I won't wear again. And that's what I usually do with my Target gift card. So I didn't pull the trigger on that one, but I went home, I started researching, and I found one, a combo unit.
Okay.
That's humidifier, air purifier. It's like $250. It was on sale for $130, and I had a $100 gift card. I bought it. It got shipped here. It's like 2.5, 3 feet high or something. It's a beauty. I'm telling you, I've been with it for like a week in the bedroom, and I think it's working. So hey, Jeff, is it BYO purifier humidifier situation for your?
Yeah, I don't have one for you. So if you want to bring one, you are welcome to. No problem. Yeah. We are not adverse to it, but yes, we do not have them on the facilities.
So that's what I'm thinking. It's supposed to, get rid of pet dander, like, dust mite, whatever, like allergens, things like that. But the humidifier, the combo with the humidifier to keep it, I got to keep a wet schnoz. I gotta keep. Otherwise, I'm no good.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth the attempt. If you want my take on it, I do. So yeah,
I will want some of your tap water.
I'm sure we can make an arrangement on the tap water. I'm not necessarily. We really use it for cooking and washing. So yeah, okay. I can figure out some tap water situation for you. All right. Well, I'm sure the cats would appreciate the effort.
Plus, it'll make a humming noise, and they'll be scared of it, and they'll stay away from me.
Possibly. Yeah. It's it should be a fun event.
How about you? If you I had a few other gift cards, but have you got gift cards? Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing your family Christmas next week, so that's probably like the hub of your cash / gift carding. Right,
and I did get some gift cards. I got a gift card to a place where we like to get salad and during the week, and like pizzas every once in a while, called Seasons. So that's practical because we do get food there anyway. So that works. It's got some money to spend there. And then I think I had mentioned Caitlin got me a car detailing gift certificate or gift card. So that's much like your air purifier, I think, in the idea that I've talked about getting my car detailed.
I do that too a lot.
Because I know I was good with washing it, but when you let it go too long, now it's like, well, now I need someone really good at doing this to do it, because the last thing I want to do is wash it and then have it still look like shit and be like, well, you tried a $10 solution when it really needs more. So I'm excited for that. I'm trying to figure out when I should use it, because I'm worried about using it in the winter. I kind of want to make sure winter has subsided before using it, so that I at least get a good light haul without worrying about like salt and snow. Especially if I have New York trips and stuff like that. If I was in New York, I'd be like, I'm not using this until May. Down here, it's a little touchier because if I stay in Jersey, I can probably get away with it. But as soon as you make a highway trip and go up to New York, I'm like, well, then the car's going to get filthy, and then I'll be upset that I used it preemptively. But I am very excited for that because it's something that I've wanted to do, but I didn't want to spend the money on it. So that was the perfect gift to have. And I just noticed over your shoulder that the belt, of course, is in view. And I feel like you put it there so that it would be there during the discussion and during all future recordings of the podcast. That damn belt will be in view.
Yeah.
That's at least hitting till episode 150. So that's something to look forward to. Other gift cards, we did get from Caitlin's cousin, gave us the illustrious MasterCard gift card, which
this costs like an extra $6 to get. Too.
Right, but it's also great because it's just the like ultimate. I mean, he goes, guys, I was so caught up in other things. He goes, I just bailed and just got you this. And like, you could tell there was like an essence of shame when he gave it to us, that he was just like, I'm so sorry. Right. It's almost weird. It's almost like more weird than just giving cash, because it's like, it's not cash. You can kind of use it more, like, it's more restricted than cash. And it's like, yeah, I guess, but
who has time to get cash these days, you know?
That's true. I mean, that's true. Like, right.
Gift card, yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't want to go to the ATM and deal with that. So, but we just got back from a little trip to Cape May this weekend. So we agreed to use the gift card and also some money that we had sitting around from rolling change. The old hobby of rolling change. Oddly enough, when Caitlin's grandfather passed away, he had a massive change jar, and it was given to us. They're like, hey, if you want to roll this, take it. And we rolled over a couple $100, or not a couple hundred, but over 120-ish in change. And so it was like, yeah. So we used a couple of those things to go towards our hotel room, dinner, things like that. So, yeah. It was good.
Did I ever tell you that,
what?
On one of my big reveals in the podcast that I was once a father for 7 weeks, and then I wasn't.
Right.
Part of like that duty, I think, as a good father, is to pay for the medical procedure that goes along with it, and I probably had like $300 at the time in a jar or something. So I did. I also rolled my change for change, if you wanted to say that. Like
wow.
That's where I was. I was saving it for a rainy day, and it was never rainier than.
And this was a hurricane that came upon me. So the rainiest of days.
That I wasn't planning on? Yeah, okay. It's time to break open the piggy bank and roll some change. You know what?
The messed up thing is like, I have a really hard time with cracking into stuff like that, like saving up like a change jar. So I probably would have like bankrupted myself and like panhandled instead of opening up my change jar, thinking that there was something even more important that the change jar needed to be. Right. Like I have that problem. Like I'm very much that. I have frequent flyer miles built up on my credit card that I've not touched since I've opened up this credit card. So like
to my funeral.
My original bonus miles are still like there, and like I just keep like accumulating them, and I'm like, not yet. It's not yet. And I have that, and it's a weird problem that I have. That I feel like that's the same reason why I have like my PTO tendencies to like not use PTO and stuff like that, is I have this underlying, it's part of my anxiety thing that I have this underlying fear that there's an event that's, I don't know what it is, and I don't know when it's going to happen, that's going to be more merited to use such things. So yeah,
it's just like playing an RPG video game where you're like, you get all these potions and magic and things to use, and you're like, I better
Balatro.
not make it to the game. And you're like, I never even used this stuff. That would
It
probably would have
happens
been
in
cool.
Balatro.
Make my experience better.
Right. Do I want to change these 3 clubs to a lucky, or these 2 cards to a lucky card, or do I want $20 max money? I'm not spending the money, but I want that $20 because these lucky cards, it's the same thing, man. It affects my life in so many different avenues, and now I feel bad about it. But I wanted to talk to you about something that came up on our way back.
Wait, what's Cape May, by the way? I pretend I know
what is
what it
Cape
is.
May?
Don't, because it sounds like the location of I Know What You Did Last Summer 4 or something like that. I don't know what it is.
So
is it a CW show? You know,
Cape May, New Jersey is a seaside town, and what it is if you're looking at the map, it's actually the southeast corner of New Jersey. Oddly enough, we looked at the map yesterday. Fun fact, we were more south than Baltimore. We were almost at DC amount south, but you don't think of it because you can't get there straight across due to bodies of water. So yeah, it's the southeastern peak of New Jersey, and it's it's a beach town. It is very touristy to my picks, but a lot of old houses that have been converted into either Airbnbs or even still inns. Inns are very popular down there, where they take older houses and you rent a room at the inn. So yeah, just an interesting town. Now going there in January, probably a different vibe than when it's the middle of summer. There's a lot of seasonal business. There's a lot of seasonal businesses, but there was stuff that was open that we could go into. So yeah, it was interesting, but it kind of piqued my interest enough to maybe go back there during the summer too, which I'm sure is a lot more chaotic. But on the way back, we Caitlin was like, I'm going to have to stop and get gas at some point. So we took her car. We knew we had to stop and get gas. And her car is really good on gas. And I'm like, yeah, it's good because your gas gauge is a lot more reliable than mine. And I felt like I've never had a car where the fucking gas gauge is true to its word. When it says... So, if I'm doing highway driving, I would say my RAV4 gets 320 miles. If I'm all highway, 320 miles on a tank of gas. If it's all highway, at a quarter of a tank through, I've already gone 120 miles. And I'm like, wow, I'm doing great. And then it's 90 more miles, and I'll be at half a tank. I'm like, oh, I'm at half a tank, and I'm at 210 miles or 200 miles. And then shit starts going awry. Then it's just na. And I'm like, yo, what happened? I'm like, what is the gauge based on? Why does it have to lie? And this has been since day one. I owned this car. I bought it used with 8,000 miles, and the gas gauge has always been this style. And I'm like, I know generally how much range I have because of my own driving habits over the years and everything. So I don't really need to rely on the gas gauge and understanding how many miles I have left. I know this pattern, but why can't it just be accurate? Why can't it accurately tell me that when I'm halfway through my gas, I should logically, the first half and second half should be fairly similar if I'm not changing my driving habits, but it's not. And her car is, and I'm so envious of that.
Well, that's the most
Hey, Jeff.
kind of thing I've heard of, because it matters to you. The proportions matter. It's hey, if I've gone this many miles and this much gas, it should be the same on the next 50 miles. And I can just see you obsessing over that whole thing, and then and then bringing it up on a podcast, just it being a really big part of your little experience.
It consumes me. I have not thought about this since I've owned any car. Yeah, it's exactly. The math isn't mathin', and it's so frustrating because I feel you know what? It's always this thing. When I see all of these things in the world around me happen, you know how we always, the old adage of they can put a man on the moon. It's that. My brain is just filled with those. I'm like, how? How are gas gauges the things we just can't fucking figure it out? I'm like, we are doing so many epic things, and we're just gas gauges? Oh, dude, we've tried, and you know what? It's fucking impossible. I hate that. It drives me nuts. But
Have you ever run out of gas before, or been in a car that did?
Oh yeah, actually, oddly
Oh,
enough,
yeah.
once in high school, and you were there.
What?
I ran out of gas for some reason. I don't even remember what it was for, but I feel like it was on like Thanksgiving or something. You were at your girlfriend's house, Susan at the time, and I drove to her house, to her parents' house, and in their driveway, I ran out of gas, and my dad had to come with like a gas can and put gas in my car. It's the one time in life I ran out of gas.
Wow.
Yeah. That was
I was
it.
just thinking it's so funny how I dated a girl named Susan when she was like a high school age, and now I can't think of anybody named Susan who's under 40.
It's correct.
You know, yeah,
That's correct.
That's a funny name. No.
So
but,
that's the one time I have avoided it. I have gone to my Rev a couple times where it's gone from the miles left on the digital to just like get. I don't even know what it says. It doesn't say 0. It's like after like 5 miles left, it just says like gas needed immediately or something. It like bails on giving you guidage.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, if this is still reading, if you're still going, you need to get a gas station. So I've never run out. I've had terrifying scares. And you know what part of the reason is? Part of the reason is because I live in New Jersey. And I fucking hate that we have full service gas. So I won't go preemptively. When I was in New York, I would be like, I could be like, hey, it's a nice day and I'm not doing anything. You know what? I'm just going to stop and top off my gas. Like, I'll be at a half a tank and I'll just put gas in it because I'm like, I'm going on a trip in a couple. Like, here, I have this fucking need to, like, get towards the end before I stop because I hate, like, a gas tenant's like gonna get confused if I top it off. They'll be like, oh, why is it not? Or like, then I have to sit because they're doing 6 other cars, and I'm like, fuck, I should have never stopped. Like, full service gas stations are the bane of my existence, and I don't fucking understand why New Jersey is desperately hanging on to this stupid thing.
It's mafia shit for sure. It's gotta be.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah. I want to get just not to mention it again, but the title, the championship title. If you're not watching, you can check it out. Number one, it's a beautiful, beautiful strap.
It is.
The white strap, heavy, feels good. Insured for $300. It's a piece. It's a very nice piece. Well done to the commissioner. Give him his props on that. But I brought it up. Wait, do I have? Yeah, wait, hold on. So the other night, I went to go watch the Texas-Ohio State game with my dad. Didn't go Texas's way, but you know,
Did not.
they kind of blew it. But whatever. That's good. I'm more happy for my dad. Like, Ohio State's is number one. Texas is not my number one all-time team to cheer. I'd rather the Bruins or my fantasy football team win. So Texas is a close number 3. I did not enjoy aspects of the game. I was psyched to be tied going in 4-4 into the fourth.
I didn't even think of the family dynamic there.
Yes,
with your sister's alma mater.
Well, yeah. So she didn't watch, but my dad's been a pretty hardcore fan. He's on the boards. He does all that. He's like reading. He's like,
oh yeah.
Oh, he's in. Oh, easy. Oh, yes, you do.
I remember. That's another memory I have. So I remember watching the Miami and Ohio State national championship at your parents' house.
Yeah, or something
03?
like that, or yeah.
It might have been like January.
Maurice Claret or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that was the Fiesta Bowl that year. So it was the 02 season, but the 03 Fiesta Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that at your parents' house vividly. Another weird sports moment I remember watching at the Jones household.
So it was like, it's weird. Honestly, it's kind of weird to like be family, but be cheering for the opposite side. You don't expect it to happen, but you're like, so I'm like, because it's so reserved. So you're trying to be like, oh, fuck you, shit. Yeah, okay.
Right, you don't want to insult the other person, so you're trying not to be like aggressive. But
if it was like you, or because like My dad almost doesn't even watch the games live because he gets so anxious about it. Like the Ohio State games regular. Now he's just watching it because Texas is playing. I can just tell he's like shaking his leg or like just just like really, it's like I'm not gonna, whatever. It was. I mean, I think we handled it as well as we could. I mean, if we were in the same conference, it would probably be a thing, but we're not. Also, we don't play for the team, so I don't know why I'm saying we. But anyways, to that game.
There it is. There it is.
I brought over, I was like, I'm going to bring over this bag because he got me a Bass Pro gift card to which I used to buy this very, very excellent Bass Pro fishing backpack. I've wanted one. Again, another proper thing that I think about all the time that I don't get for myself. And why is it cool? Because, it's got a lot of room, tons of pockets, tons of space. But it's got the side pocket where you can pull out your all that.
Oh my!
And I put all my soft plastic stuff here because usually I'm using 2 bags to like bring everything that I want to bring, but this will fit it all. But then I brought it over there and to show my dad that thanks for the gift card. I bought this bag, but here's the also it came with this, and I had the title in there, and I pulled it out. He's like, oh, he was like he was, like, yes. He was like, oh wow. It's like, cause I sort of fill him in along the way, He sort of asks. He like sort of knows the NFL players from their college days. He doesn't really follow NFL as much,
right?
But I kind of, he checks in on it, and but I was like, yeah, pick that up. He's like, oh, this is like real heavy. This is like legit. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't think he's ever been prouder of me.
Dad, I got into Colgate. That's cool, man. Dad, I won the fantasy football championship. Oh, my boy.
Yeah, and he's just like looking at it, like pressing it down. Just like wow. And then so my mom came home from work later that night at the old Weggies, and then she's like, "What? Did you win this? Did you win this?" I was like, what? It's like, what's happening?
It's a major award.
So
it's a major reward.
I got a new job a few months ago that was real good. I didn't have that reaction. If you bring home that strap to your parents, they're very excitable. So I just want to thank the commissioner and Jonathan Taylor for this year, and Taylor Swift, obviously. But it was wild. Yeah. It was like, I remember thinking like, holy shit! All I gotta do is bring home championship titles. That's all I gotta do. So
I mean, and it's
I might try harder next year.
Like obviously from this year, based on the fact that we have names on the plates that go in 2s, we didn't put a new plate on this year, so it's due for a new one. So Matt's name will be on the championship belt. We have side plates. That have the past champions' names. So what's nice about that is that since you are a repeat champion, you can even, like, not that this is a real life case, but you know what I'm saying when you're like, not only is this just a championship belt, it has the league's name on it and the winners' names on it. Not the teams, but the man behind the team that won it. So he can show, like, I did not steal this from something. I did not go to Target and buy this before I came here. That is mine. That is your son's name on this championship. So it is.
Plus
there's a certain.
It's like Pigskin Anarchy. That's the name of our league that he came up with in 2008. Or
I know. It's so bad. It's so bad, but it's like, nope, not changing it. Right.
It's just generic enough, but creative enough where it's like nobody else is going to have it probably.
I have not come across a Pigskin Anarchy, and trust me, I've been checking. I have not come across a Pigskin Anarchy, and there's one thing that I always prided myself on with fantasy, is that one, you have to constantly be evolving. So we're always revisiting roster styles, stuff like that. I think that's important. Secondly, I will never take a team name that I see online. I will never Google a team name. I would rather put team name pending or something like that. I will never Google a stupid pun. If I can come up with a pun, awesome. But we've had owners that have done that, and I don't want to point out. It's not about pointing out names, but I will say I can match the man to the name and go, that man did not come up with that fucking name.
You're talking about too. If you're listening, do better. Do better next year. Maybe you'll get the title. Maybe.
I'd rather absurdly weird and dumb names than a name that you clearly Googled. Looking at you, I love Josh Allen. It's a weird name and it's not creative, but damn it,
Yep.
it's dumb enough and you came up with it, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, there are some. I also.
My wife told me I better win. That's a great name.
Yeah, you want to know what? I get it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm told I shouldn't spend money on dues, but so my wife told me I better win. Folks, spoiler alert, clearly he did not win, and nor did he make the money in any of the other two ways that you can win money on this.
Yeah.
But I respect the move. But yeah, I can tell when the pun is not created by the person, because knowing everyone personally, I'm like, you didn't come up with that name. I know you didn't. So I just hold that to my standard. If another owner wants to do that, he's only hurting his own reputation amongst the other owners, and that's for him to make. Or in some cases, we have people who make names that I'm like, I don't even get what I'm talking at. Again, I feel like Matt's
exactly.
done that a couple times. Where I'm like, I don't even know what we're talking about, but that's okay. I don't have to. If it does something for you, by all means do it. Yeah, man. I look forward to hopefully winning the gold myself, so I can enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Hopefully, he doesn't curse you for having got this thing now.
Oh, I know, right? I know. So yeah, it's I don't even know how the hell we got onto fantasy. Oh, right, because of you showing your parents, but you going to the Texas-Ohio State game, but gift cards, which bought the bag that carried the time. Okay. Sorry, we went mega tangent on that.
This is a very, everything's coming together. It's gelling very well.
Yeah. So, one more thing, because we went so tangential, I did have another note I wanted to bring up on the car. So does your car, what year is your car?
2012.
Okay.
It's a teenager now.
Does it show the digital reading of what your average MPGs are based on your driving habits, or no?
No, I don't think it does.
Okay.
I think so. It wouldn't. I don't think they would want to advertise that to the driver per se.
Why is that?
Or it's not conscious. I feel like cars that are hybrids want to throw it out there at the driver to be like, oh, look how many MPGs you're getting. But if it's not, then you're just like, they don't want to tell you that it's not, because then you'd be like, oh, I should go get a different car. It's like
interesting. So it's masking its own integrity.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a deep dive. That's something that I'm surprised I didn't come up with that. So mine tells me my average MPG on my driving habits, and has a little meter that I can monitor and stuff. Now I can obviously does it per tank fill. So since I last filled, it'll tell me my MPG habits since that, but my overall MPG habits too, that I can manually reset like a tripometer or a trip meter, but I haven't reset it in forever. So I know generally I think the last time I set it was when I just moved to New Jersey. So I've been building these habits. So on Caitlin's car, she has it too, and she was like, I'm hitting 40 miles per gallon on this trip. And I'm like, man,
that's
I'd
exciting.
kill to hit. Right. I'm like, I'd kill to hit that. But again, because I'm so numbers driven and concept of the value is I so am hyper focused on my MPGs. It's absurd. And it's,
you just keep looking at it
all the time. Dude, I could take a 1 mile trip and I'll look and be like, I wonder how I did on this trip. Dude, it's fucking weird. But now what it does is I have built amazing driving habits to optimize my MPGs. So the problem is now when I am in the market and considering a new vehicle, I'm constantly wondering what the MPG situation is. And it gives a range, and I try to find people's, because some people are like, well, the actual MPGs you'll get. And I'm like, yeah, but what are your driving habits? And the problem is I overanalyze everything. And that's why I've talked about getting a brand new car for probably the last 3 years and have not done anything, because I overanalyze everything. And I'm just like, no matter what I get, I'm going to probably regret getting it. And that's a horrible feeling. So I don't know.
Does your insurance company that you work with do one of those things where they track all of your driving habits deals? like one of those? I don't know how
They
those work.
are you asking if they offer it to a customer?
Yeah, or how do they even
Yes.
do it? How does that work?
Yeah,
Is it just
Progressive
digital?
Progressive, I think, was the first one that did it. That's the snapshot. I think they do. I've never done it. I would assume I would do good because of how my driving habits are. Because I do a lot less of gas brake, and I'll gas glide, and like only brake very gradually. Like if I see a red light coming up and I'm like, okay, gauging how long it just turned red. So it's definitely going to be red when I get it there. So I'm going to gently brake every once in a very great while, but coast and stuff. And then, so like I'm calculating shit the entire fucking way of any trip I'm ever driving my car, which as you can imagine is kind of exhausting when you go on like trips that are hundreds of miles because I'm always calculating stuff.
You're always zoned in on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done that because I've fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you fancy. I've always had very good insurance rates, but I worry but I don't know if I should worry. Like I have this hard time again of like the money factor. It's like I always convince myself like, yeah, but you don't need that. So just take this because this is more cost effective. Like getting a car with good MPGs. I work from home. I'm probably in a place where I could say, you know what? Even if my car doesn't get the greatest gas mileage, I fucking work from home. The longest I've gone, I think, is last year. I think I filled up, and this, don't ask me why this sticks out, but I filled up the weekend of WrestleMania. So that was like the first weekend in April, and then I didn't fill up again until like a week before my birthday. So like I went almost I went almost 5 weeks on one tank of gas, and I'm like, dude, if that's your driving habits, like you could drive a fucking H1 and it won't matter. Like I'm so concerned with being like, oh, well, you know, it's a good value to have a car that's gas conscious and stuff, when in reality, I probably don't need to be that concerned with it. I'm not like a commuter commuting an hour a day and stuff like where it's real viable. So I wanted to get a hybrid, but I've seen a lot of things being like, yeah, but if you're primarily driving very minimally city, and then when you're most driving is highway mileage, getting a hybrid's not going to affect you that much. And so I don't know if that is worth putting the extra money into a hybrid when it's not really something that pairs well with my driving habits.
You could lease a nice ride. You don't even drive enough miles. Like, that's what you could do.
And that's another thing I've considered is I'm like, well, maybe what I need to do is just what I need to do is double down and just be like, hey, you know what? Reward yourself by doing a fucking lease for 2 years on whatever the flying shit balls you want, just so that you did it once and like get it out of your system and then revisit the whole issue in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like maybe I do that. I don't know, because I certainly don't have to be conscious of miles. I definitely keep under 12,000 a year, even with multiple trips. And shit, I mean, this last calendar year, I bet I put 7,000 miles on my car, maybe. And that's with trips to New York, which a simple trip to Auburn puts 600 miles onto my car. So
it used to be pretty excellent when I was like a mile away from work, and I was the same, like gas, maybe have to gas like once a month or something like that. And now I do it obviously every week at least. And this last week was one of the shittiest weeks since I've lived here of driving in New York, because like the snow came through this last week. A lot of northeasterners know. Actually, I think it's been cold everywhere, but it was just like real sloppy. They made it extra sloppy for us, and like driving to work was like a couple of days were like so slow, and it sucks because like I hate it. We already know. I mean, I already have high anxiety with driving, and it's gotten better by commuting more and more, so I can manage it better. But just like driving in the snow, like even the roads when they're not super clean, you're just going like 20, but you just have to be 100% zoned in the whole time. There's no time to space out. Like you have to like be aware of every patch of the road, all the cars around you the whole time. And even for like half an hour, that's like very draining to like do that and then get to work and be like, okay, good, I get to do this again later when it's dark. That's nice. That'll be fun to do that. And I had and honestly, it was fine. Like I just drive. I'm a good driver. That's the thing about this whole thing is I'm a good driver. Knock on wood. I've never been in an accident. I've never, whatever, yada yada. And but driving, it was like slow at some points. But when I got onto like the last bit of highway to get to the store in Fairmount the other day, there was cars merging on to my right onto this highway bypass that's like really geared, really just one lane is open out of the three because that's all they plowed. So everybody's trying to like get into this, and this one car's coming in front of me, and I'm gonna let it go. And as it's coming in, I'm like, well, that's weird. Why would you not dust off your rear windshield, to see good? You got time because you probably got to warm up the car. You might as well. And I mean, I'm talking like 6 inches of snow on the window, and I'm like, how do they even? What do they? Okay, so I let them in front of me, and as I do, like I'm at the front of like 60 cars probably. And there's a couple cars in the opposite lanes, maybe all the Dodge Rams that are invincible to traffic and anything bad that happens to cars, because they're in a Dodge Ram and they can go as fast as they want. And then this car in front of me, I can see all of a sudden is like starts
doing the dance,
the whirling dervish, like a little bit. I was like, oh no. So I started like tapping, pumping a little bit, and like they do like a full spin, and then I'm like, I mean, I'm talking like a foot from their passenger side door. And I was like, and then I'm looking behind me, and the car behind me is like just a foot from me. So we're hitting blinkers. So I was like, what is this car doing? And I was like, I'm pretty sure they did not have snow tires. They must not have, because like they kept going, and then they got off the exit where I did. But I think ostensibly just to get off the road, because that was the next exit. And as they do, they can't. They spin again. They're going, and like, I don't understand. This person was not ready for the world today. And I was just like, I'm glad. I mean, for as much as I worry about what traffic, it's like I gave myself a little bit of props for being very aware in that moment. Again, like the time a month or two ago where that car came out in front of me, and it's like,
right,
the anxiety's paying off. I need it. I need to be anxious because it really pays off when you need it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
People do the wrong thing, and the wrong thing's going to happen all the time. It sucks when it doesn't, because you're always higher. But when it does, you're there. You're ready for it.
Being hyper-aware pays off every once in a great while, and you're like, yeah, see? Now I just validated doing this for another 2 years. Like, 100%.
But it was like, well, I mean, it's just been that way this week. So, and then I had my first ever work snow day for Wegmans this week.
I know.
And that was like the worst day of it, because it snowed enough overnight, but then it just kept snowing in the morning. And I had the best part of it. It's like when you wake up. I mean, it's not like it, because this is what happened. But I wake up, I take a shower, get dressed, get in the car. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give it the old college try. And as I start driving, I get a call from my friend or my coworker. She's like, oh, the store manager, Eric, like he's calling Auburn people to tell them to stay home because doesn't want to risk it. So I think we probably don't need to go either. I was like, thank you. That's a good idea.
That's so responsible.
I agree to that as well.
100%.
Because the snow kept coming heavy that morning, so it was like it would have been sloppy. It would have sucked. I mean, could I have made it? Probably, but it would have been riskier. And it's just like, I know I just got my AAA re-upped. Thanks, Mom, for another Christmas present. But I don't want to have to use it. It's one of those things you just keep in your back pocket. And so I came home and, played a little Bellaccio, did some email. It's weird because when you're a kid and you have that day off, it's just fucking whatever you want to do. It's Ocarina of Time. It's grilled cheese. It's Doug. It's like, it's a lot of good stuff. It's a weird feeling when you're like kind of call it off in this line of business. Because the other person in my position there was like, she lives close, so she had to go to work. So I sort of felt bad. So I was like, I better get onto because I didn't have my work computer. It was at the office. Clever me. And I, I did do some emails though. I did attend a couple Teams meetings that I was able to go through just to make myself feel less bad. But it doesn't feel as easy as an adult when you have a snow day. I wish it did. I enjoyed it. I'm very happy. But
I've never had a snow day as an adult.
You don't get to. You don't get to.
Certainly working remotely, that's not how that works. I am zero affected by 3 feet of snow or 0 feet of snow. With snow days, I mean, I've always also worked in everything that was like 24 hours. So like things that just always were open. So like working at like hotels, grocery stores, Blockbuster, things that are open. It's like, I don't care. Or it's the even more so to the, oh, there's bad weather. That's all the more reason we need you to come in. So I've always worked in those types of places.
Right, really.
Yeah.
Like between the hours of like 9 p.m. and like 3 a.m., if you got to go then, you're fucked.
24-hour places are rough to work for because they don't stop being 24 hours under really any circumstances. So, yeah, I mean, that's the tough part when you're like, I feel bad because I could go in. Well, right. One, because, you know, you're like, all right, weather. It's weather. It is what it is. And if you're a good driver, you're like, right. It might take me longer, but I'll account for that and I'll be able to make it in. But certainly there is the aspect of like good because everyone else is dumb on the road and I don't want to have to deal with that. So it is advantageous. And I wish more companies, more businesses need to realize that it's like, in America, we always have this like ping pong match of like, well, people like, I love that places aren't open 24 hours a day. Did I use places when they were open at 1 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. In my 20s, I loved it because that's when I would go like grocery shopping and shit because there was less people. But I also like the fact that it's like, see how your business didn't fucking crumble just because you weren't open at that time? That's the same for like holidays. Like if you close Christmas Day, I assure you, it's gonna be okay. Like you don't need to have everything open all the time on every day. So like when places claim that, oh, this has got to stay open, it's got to stay open. I feel like it's just America just feeding fucking billionaires more and more money and all that horse shit. Because it seems like Europe goes like, well, all right, you gotta, you know, we're only going to be able to give you 9 weeks of paid vacation for this job. And you do have to come in all of 32 hours in a week. Like, I feel like that's all you hear about Europe is absurd paid time off and everything. I'm like, and guess what? Their economies aren't crumbling. We've just set the bar so fucking stupid for ourselves.
You better take your 2-hour lunch. You better.
Right. You fucking better. You better not work. So yeah, I like hearing that places get a little funny with days off because I'm not a fucking person who does the whole, well, if I can't get it, no one should. No, if I want that type of occupation, I know where the situations are. And yeah, the one thing you can't do is, you know, complain that you aren't getting the day off. Like, then just take it. I don't know what to tell you. Well, I can't. Then I'll get fired. I'm like, all right, then do you like your job or do you want the day off? I'm like, I don't know. You still are an adult that with the decision to make. Lie to your work then. Just say that you're sick. Well, they won't believe me. Who gives a fuck? Like, I don't know. Call their bluff. Like, I don't know. It is what
I've had that conversation with people, especially, you know, Wegmans or whatever. It's like, I know you're stressed, but yeah, it doesn't suck. I mean, because it's about balance because you don't want to put the pressure on other people, but you know what? Wegmans will be okay. If you don't make as much stuff as the production guy calls for today, it'll be okay. It'll be open tomorrow. It'll still make money. Like, you don't need to, like, just, it's not that serious ultimately.
When I was a supervisor, I think we talked about this. When I was a supervisor, it was so invasive of someone calling out of work that I'm like, this is fucking pathetic. When it was like, ask your associate. First off, they have to call. They can't text. I'm like, that's dumb, but please go on. And then it's like, they have to tell you, or you have to ask, are you planning on coming in tomorrow? And are you going to see a doctor? And I'm like, that's so, like, for for calling in sick, shut up. Or there was a time where we had to ask for symptoms. I'm like, what are we doing? Why does any of that matter? Right. I'm shitting razor blades. Like, what do you want them to say? Like, just knock it off. Like, I don't give a shit. If they have the time, they have the time. moving on. See you tomorrow. That's literally what it boils down to. And I hate corporate America when it comes to that stuff. It's like, just fucking stop. It doesn't matter. And if you think that it's such an integrity issue, then is there integrity issues that they're doing otherwise? No. Then who fucking cares? Like, honestly, all right, then lay out an attendance program and say, if you miss this much time unplanned, you get fired. The end. And if it comes up, it comes up. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, and move on. Make it objective. But you don't have to be like, oh, I think they're like, because even if they're not, what? So should I go to a doctor just to say that I did go to a doctor? Is that how I validate it? Well, that's irresponsible as a person. Okay. Should I not go to a doctor and come into work even though I feel sick and I'm down with something contagious? Oh, then that's also not responsible. Like, there's no black and white. So you have to make it black and white, which leaves it open to, is the company being fucked over? Yeah, maybe. Oh, well. Like, moving on. Guess that's a battle you just accept that you're going to lose, and the individual wins.
Dude, this sounds like Luigi talking, if you ask me.
Hey. It's a me, Jeffrey.
Well, our fantasy football group chat is blowing up right now. What's happening?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what is this?
Well, that might mean it's time for NFL playoffs. So, we could balance last week's long episode with a shorty, which is an hour in our world.
Oh, do you see what the picture is?
No. Oh, let's
it's
see.
A photo. It's at the Bills-Broncos game. We have two owners.
Whoa.
Justin Colombo, recently dethroned champion, in a picture with Steve. as a Bills fan, and then super producer Steve wearing a Broncos themed sweater.
You guys are on blast. Sort of. My blinds are in the way, but
yeah. So,
wow, thanks for the invite, Steve.
Wow,
jeez.
opposing fans meeting, but Steve going into enemy territory as the Broncos fan. Very formal looking.
That doesn't seem like enough layers, honestly, to be there. Looks like he's got like a t-shirt underneath and a jersey underneath just like a decorative, like fun sweater, but it's not that's not a real sweater, I think. Yeah. That's the fun part of being back in upstate New York is people really, for as much as they deal with it here, people here aren't dressed for the weather. Like, you know how many people's winter coats are just a hoodie? That's it. Like, it's fucking wild. It's not like part of it's like sort of brave and like they're like, I can handle it. But those are also people that come in and be like, they're wet and they're so fucking cold after their cigarette break and they're just like, fuck, it's so cold. It's like, yeah, get a fucking real coat. Grow up.
The tough part with winter jackets is such a generic term and no one knows what you're supposed to wear. Like, I can't wear anything that looks like I'm going out to play in the snow. And that was the MO for like up until when you were like in your 20s, where you're like, yeah. I want the snow to roll off me. So I'm going to be mad warm, but I look like a clown. So like I have as Caitlin got me a couple Christmases ago, I have a big flannel style, but it's a button jacket. And so when I'm wearing a hoodie like this, I throw the massive flannel over it. That's what I like for my winter jacket. But yeah, winter jackets are tough.
Do you got wet weather proof? That's why I got like the North Face jacket. It's layers.
That's the tough part.
Layers from it, but
yeah, we don't get it as much down here, and that's why I don't think I concern myself with having it. That is absolutely New York. I think you have to have something that is more repellent for like lake effect stuff that just comes down as massive snowflakes and instantly makes you wet. But yeah, winter jackets are tough, but there are people that are like, I'm wearing a hoodie. It's fine. I'm like, are you sure? Because that's also what you're wearing inside where it's 75 degrees. So I don't know that you do understand that it's not going to work. If it's comfortable inside at 75, it's not going to work for you when it's 15 and snowing outside. But people do. People will be like, this is versatile. I'm like, it's not October. It's not versatile.
That's so funny. That is the thing. It's like the inside and outside, same outfit. It's like the exact same. It's like,
right. In the fall, you're fine. But it's so good. I love that people do it. Now, I'll do it if I know I'm like, all right, I'm literally walking like maybe from my car to a short entrance to a store. I'm going to be outside for less than 60 seconds. I'll take my chances. But right, people that have like go out and smoke breaks and stuff. I'm like, what did you piece together? Like, what did you think this was going to play out as? Classic.
Oh, hello, winter. Winter has came. All right. Wow. Well, just so everybody knows, just a note, a programming note for everybody that's keeping up on the programming. There's a decent chance that maybe one or two of the next episodes are live in person. Well, not live, but just recorded in person.
Correct.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But we've got a lot coming up. Jeff's visiting Auburn next week for his Christmas. And then, the week after that, we'll be in the Philly region. I'm rolling up my pennies so I can gamble on my phone like a DJ.
We're going to be in person. We're going to be in person. We shouldn't be phone gambling. We can gamble in person.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's right. We could do that. Oh, fuck. Damn it. We can go to a real casino. Oh, no.
I meant gambling even in my basement. We don't have to go to we're not going to go to Atlantic City. All three of us went to Atlantic City, and then we realized there was no need for us to go to Atlantic City, but we did, and Matt got to see the ocean. So that's actually what I literally take away from that is I'm like, yeah, but Matt got to see the ocean, so we did get something out of it, but the need of going to Atlantic City made no sense.
It's just been a while.
Right.
But,
okay.
Obviously. But no, it'd be great. We could drive for an hour to lose $300 in 15 minutes. That's real.
and have a couple expensive rounds of beer. Don't forget the expensive beer.
Yeah. Just to be bummed by noon.
Right.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
That'd be real fun. All right.
Good. All right.
So things are coming.
Oh yeah, big times. Big times. All right, cue the music.